Up until very recently, a couple of times throughout the year, I would do very active back and forth business travel. Oftentimes I'd just be living out of a backpack with a couple of days of clothes, at most a small carry-on. So I've always brought radios with me. I generally like to have a VHF UHF two-way radio, and for the longest time I have been carrying a shortwave radio, particularly one that can do single sideband, which is one of my major requirements. My radio of choice has been the PL660 up until recently, because it basically does everything you'd want it, the price is not that bad, and you get single sideband. And it's a pretty good radio. However, to try and reduce my kit for traveling, I started carrying the CCrane Skywave SSB. And this is my new travel buddy. Let me tell you why. So how do you get all the bands of receive modes that you want in your pocket? AM, FM, shortwave, single sideband, upper and lower, air, and weather. But you can get a survival radio, however those are generally pretty big. Some of the ones from China, which I've reviewed for before, are a bit difficult to operate from a front end. The closest radio of size and quality to the Skywave is my Texsun PL380. It doesn't hold a candle, though, to the Skywave as far as functionality and features packed in from a receiving point of view. The function of this radio is fairly straightforward. Power button turns the unit on. Volume is on the side here. And there's a tuning knob, which allows you to tune through stations. On the left side, a headphone jack and a micro mini USB connection for recharging. This will use rechargeables, and it takes 2 AA batteries. If you want to scan through a band, all you have to do is hold down the light/ATS button, and it will begin the scanning process. Scanning for this radio basically starts by programming the 1 through 0 keys, and that completes page 1, which you would then fill up page 2, and so on. So as you click through these to listen to the different radio stations it finds, and you complete a page, you click the page button and the next number of the pages that you'd like to review. This works the same way whether you're on AM, FM, weather, shortwave, or air. Switch the page, click the page button. Number 2. Switching is very, very fast. AM, same deal. Begins to scan if you hold down the ATS button. And you're off and scanning. This is what I use most often when I'm in a new geographic area that I've never been to and I don't know the stations that are in the area. That includes airband, shortwave, AM, FM. One of my favorite things to do is after I unpack is connect up the real antenna and just scan all the bands and see what's out there. This radio is very good for that. At the time of recording, the single sideband Skywave goes for $170 on Amazon. That includes a wire antenna, a wind-up type that I really like. It is leaps and bounds better quality than that of the Texsun winder. So, kind of expensive. It puts it over the price of a PL660. However, going back to my original why I was interested in this radio is for travel purposes and the ability to have all the capabilities that I want in my pocket. Due to its small size, the speaker can be a little tinny. If you want the best quality, plug in headphones. This supports stereo output, so you will get good quality audio on whatever you're operating on, and it won't be the bottleneck being the speaker. I'll do a quick demonstration comparing this radio to the PL60 and the PL380. I think it performs well when you keep in mind its size. I appreciate that it's expensive, but to be able to cram all that technology in such a little box, smaller than both of the other radios, I think they did a pretty good job of giving you many, many features that you pay a premium for, but if that's your goal, an all kind of mode, all band supportive type radio on AM, FM, and shortwave, then I think it does a pretty good job. Regarding size, the CCrane is much smaller than that of the Texsun. It is a bit fatter though. It's also much, much lighter. This is 8.2 ounces for the Skywave. The PL660 is 1 pound, 4.7 ounces. Since this is FT8's frequency, let me get the BFO centered and I'll go back to upper sideband. And there is FT8. About what we expected to hear. The PL660 has a BFO control, which helps you pull out audio a little bit better. Okay, same test. Let's get this guy switched over to single sideband, clicking the SSB button. Puts it into this like load taskbar, and the red light will come on. Clicky dial knob. Let's go to FT8. Lower sideband, let's go to upper. And sure enough. Change back to lower sideband. So we're on the station, but it sounds a little off. So you hit the fine tune, red light comes on. So let's fine tune this. And that's about where you want it to be. I'm gonna mute this radio, and I'm gonna connect the Texon. And back to the CCrane. Okay, so we're back on the external end-fed antenna, and you got a lot of noise. That's WWV. How do we pull that out? Well, we'd start lowering the bandwidth. Not there yet. Oh, I heard that. I can kind of make it out. Let's go down further. Alright, let's try one more. And then you can hear the tone. It's deep down there, but you can hear it. Let's try it with another station. Something with maybe a little more speaking. So, a Spanish-speaking station. This is a little touchy when I get near it, but this is 6 on the bandwidth. You hear the noise? Drop the noise down considerably. Let's go down further. And we'll go down to 2. This is effectively filtering the radio. We've got some kind of splash. Ha! Well, I didn't expect this. That's CQ. Oh, he's gone. Radio Havana. 4 seems to be the sweet spot here. So to give it my ham radio crash course kind of love it or leave it type vote, I'd say you'd love it if you fit into that Venn diagram, that cross shaded area in the middle of a traveler and somebody who wants all the modes at their hand then that they could use in their pocket in a single device. You could of course use your laptop and an SDR, like an SDR Play, but then you're usually dragging along some kind of antenna or some kind of form-fitting system for that. With the Skywave, you're generally just carrying this and a wire-wound antenna, which again, props to that antenna. One last thing on this real antenna. Why I like it so much is that it's a bit bigger, and you might say, well, why would you want it to be bigger? Well, you have a reel in here with no kind of system to make the line go in a certain path of this reeling. So what they do is they open this up a little bit to give you some more space. That's an advantage over the Texan, which I've destroyed one of the Texans that over time kind of got a weird kink in it, and I wasn't able to get it out without taking the whole thing apart. I ended up having to resolder leads and whatnot. This has an ample amount of space, and the wire is not sticky. It doesn't kink easy. It's very nicely done. An attention to detail like that is something that I really value on something that you're going to deploy many, many times. I think maybe people buy these little reel antennas and they maybe use them a couple of times. And just to visualize my point, here is the reel antenna for the CCrane Skywave. I have the attachment for the Texan here, and this will have a mono headphone jack to a clip, which clips onto the very thinnest element in your aerial. However, with the CCrane, what it does is it has a clip, and this clip goes around the fattest part of the antenna and clips nicely. This is a much better thought out antenna system. It also has a clip on the other end for clipping on to the inevitable curtain rod of the Days Inn hotel you may be staying at, or in my case, an Embassy Suites. But for me, when I was traveling, I would have that real antenna out every weekend or every Sunday into the Monday, and for a couple of days there, and then wind it back up. And the reel is nice and fat, very easy to wind, and never gave me a problem, although I have not put this to the same amount of abuse that I put the Texan to. In initial testing though, this fared better than the Texan reel. So if you were like me at one point or are now a road-weary traveler and want a dependable radio that works off a couple of A cells, you pay a premium for, but when you're on the road, those little comforts that you enjoy are worth their weight in gold. I would give this a recommendation. This is also a good just outdoors portable receiver if you were interested in something like that. I was actually talking to James Hannibal not too long ago about the quirky QRP radio and how people use shortwave receivers to do kind of like their fun little transmissions with that. And you can do that. You can take this out in the field and you can have two-way comms using a quirky QRP antenna and a receiver like this. Pretty good. So there you have it. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this radio. Tell me what you think of the review down in the comments. Maybe tell me what you use on your portable travels, or what kind of radios you take if you take a receiver or other types of radio out into the field. If you have ever been like me where you gotta hop on a plane on a Sunday night and fly back a couple days later so you hit the ground running on a Monday, then you know how valuable something that you just flip the kickstand, push the button, and is operating all about. But again, love to know your thoughts. Please post them in the description. And if you enjoyed this, give me a thumbs up. If you have not already, please subscribe. We stream every Friday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on the Ham Radio Crash Course, where we try and cover as many different topics as we can to help people starting out in the hobby, and those that already have been in the hobby learn something new, something interesting, so that we get that little nugget of information, cram it in there, and then if you go try it and you apply it, you move forward with radio, and the hobby continues to grow and feel the same resurgence we're feeling right now. So I hope you're enjoying what we're doing. Again, please hit subscribe, hit the notification button, and if you can, go ahead and use the reminder when the streams come up. Links for everything are in the description. If you want to check out my Amazon store, it's where I curate a series of products that I recommend or have reviewed. You could spend a little bit of time there. It doesn't cost you anything more, but it gives me a little piece of the action when you buy something and helps the channel out. Okay? Thanks so much for watching, and I'll talk to you later.